Hello and welcome again to Coastal Crafts. So I've come on today because I wanted to show you something that I made before I went to the craft fair. This is, I suppose, what people call a traveller's notebook that I have sewn with some really beautiful Tilda fabric that I was given for my birthday. And you can see, to try and coordinate with it, I've also added a little tassel there, coordinating colours, and I've also made a little paper clip over here which I felt was coordinated nicely once I had chosen the right colours. So I'll just have a bit of a open up and show you. So as you can see, it's all not hand sewn, well, sewn using a sewing machine, if you call that hand sewn, in this beautiful Tilda fabric here, and on the inside is the coordinating Tilda fabric as well, which I really loved. And those little notebooks, I think I showed, they got given for Christmas, and I said, oh, I'm going to use that too as an excuse to make a traveller's notebook, and I did in the end, which is amazing. Stuff like that normally doesn't happen. So I will show you a bit about how I made that and what I used. So obviously the Tilda fabric there, but to construct it, let's see where I put my bits and pieces. I took one of these notebooks and I've got this one left. Is it Friday yet? Very cute. This one's orange. I didn't think it coordinated. And I just got a bit of my card. I'm using this card, same as the stuff that I got from the craft show. So I really like this really thick card, and I put it on there, and I just sort of thought about how much space I might want around the outside, and using my ruler drew a line as how high I thought I wanted it, and made a mark as to how wide I wanted it. Then added on about 3 centimeters, I guess an inch or a bit more than an inch and a half or so for the spine, because I knew it needed to stack a couple of these in, and also it needs to fit some eyelets as well, and then obviously just the same amount on the other side. So I just drew that all up on my card, and this one's ready to make another one soon, and then cut around the outside. So initially I did that line and then realised, oh, I need a bit more, but I don't seem to own a rubber for whatever reason. So once I'd done that, I chose some fabric. I've got some other fabric here for my next one, this lovely cat fabric I picked up in I think it was just a local fabric shop. It's so pretty, isn't it? Little Siamese cats. So I think that'll make a really cute next one that I'm going to do. So I just use this once it's cut out as a template to cut. Well, you could cut 2 pieces of this if you wanted your inside and your outside to be the same, but obviously in mine I cut a piece from this type and a piece from this type, so 2 different, but they were about the same size. So just cut it with a seam allowance of, say, a centimetre or so on top, going all the way around the outside, and then sewing it together on the so front side to front side to make a bit of a pocket there, and then also to bulk it out a bit more, I added an extra layer of felt. So just your ordinary cheapo, just reaching across here. So cheapo, that this isn't good enough because it's got bits chunked out of it, but it's ordinary cheapo craft felt, because I wanted it to not be really flimsy. I wanted it to have a bit of padding to it, and I also used some interfacing as well on the fabric just to make sure that it wasn't going to sort of crease up all the time, with a bit tougher. So it had a couple of layers in there. So I stuck the felt to the card, and the card actually has gone inside this. But before I did stick it inside, I wanted to make some holes, just using my very cheap hole punch here into the card and the felt. So I thought about where I wanted it to go. So I wanted 2 down the bottom like that, and obviously 2 at the top, and then 1 in the middle, which was a lot harder to cut. I think I just had to do that with a stabby pokey tool, and then managed to poke myself in the finger and had a bit of blood everywhere, but I'm sure you're more sensible than I am, they wouldn't do that. So I made the holes, the 2 down the bottom, 1 in the middle and the 2 at the top, in the card and the felt before I put it inside my little fabric pocket that I made, because I thought that saves me having to punch holes through the whole layer. And then once I had slid my bit of card into my fabric pocket, I'm calling it, but a fabric envelope. I then proceeded to use my punchy tool and this as well, a bit of a combination of the two, to go over those holes so it went through everything. And I got out those eyelets that I bought the other day here, that I picked up from Hobbycraft. You can obviously pick up any way you want. I noticed they had them slightly cheaper in Dunham Mill, and banged it away with a hammer, as you do, to get the old eyelets, and just thought it looked a bit more professional to have those in. And then once they were all in and all the fabric was sewn up around the edges, I was able to just thread a bit of elastic through, as I'll show you. So that one doesn't look great at the moment. That's the one that goes onto my big bit of elastic, but these ones went quite nicely. So they're just tied like a circle, I suppose you'd say, of elastic threaded through and then tied. So it fits in 2 books at the moment, but obviously I could add more elastic if I had some more books to go in there, and the books just slot in really easily. You sort of find the centre, which is all pretty because it's got the pretty coloured place where it's been sewn. They're really pretty little books. So that's that one, and then I added some of this elastic as well, this wide elastic bracelet cord, which I picked up for £1.50 from the Works a while ago, and I bought this to make bands around my diary that I use. See how pretty that is, but I've gone gold here, so I can't use silver. So yeah, it's only £1.50, and you seem to get absolutely loads of it, and I felt that that minty green colour coordinated. So that was how I made a very brief, if you can follow that, you've done very well, way of making it. Obviously it's the size of it would completely depend on how big your notebook was. So I already had these small notebooks and knew that's what I wanted to use, so that's how I came to that size, and I can let you know the sizes if you're interested, but obviously whatever size notebook you've got is going to affect how big you want to make it. And I was happy with how this came out, and I added on, so I just used your basic bow die and my little tassel making. So it's just came in my little, I had a little kit here which I put together, so I've got all my tassel stuff ready. So these were cheap tassel die off AliExpress, and the tassel caps were cheap off AliExpress as well, as was all this gold chain. And then yeah, I showed you this the other day, just picked up the clips as well, and that's why I got them in gold, because I had the other bits in gold, and I keep all that together so I can make tassels really nice and easily. And this isn't the best one I've done, but it's the right colours to go with that. And to make my little paper clip, which has utterly vanished, where's my little paper clip gone? There it is. I just love these flowers. I keep saying that. I just think they're the cutest little die ever. It was that die set that was free with the magazine Simply Cards and Paper Crafts. So that one there. So I don't know if that magazine's out in the shops, but it came out to me as a subscriber yesterday. I absolutely love it, and I just think that that rose just matches really well with the Tilda fabric that I used. So I'm really happy with how my little traveller's notebook came out for a first attempt. I think I did okay. Obviously lots of bits that I could improve on, particularly not puncturing my finger and then putting blood down and things like that. Actually doing a better job, and obviously this elastic could be sorted out a bit better, but you know, I gave it a go, and it was good fun, and I enjoyed making it, and I'm happy with the result, and I'm glad to use some of the things that I own. And it does feel pretty sturdy. You obviously can't feel that, but it does feel sturdy. So a bit of card, a bit of felt, a bit of interfacing, and a bit of fabric, and that is strong enough to make yourself a fabric, whatever they call it, traveller's notebook, I believe they call it. So there we go. If you're interested in want any more information on how I did it, because obviously I've just been rambling away, then do let me know in the comments. Yeah, so there we go. Speak to you again soon.